today? Are you still wondering why they walked away from you, even when you gave everything? Or maybe you're stuck thinking, I gave them my heart, so why didn't they stay? But here's the truth. The reason they left is not what you think. It's not about you, and it's certainly not about a lack of love. In fact, what I'm about to reveal might just blow your mind and shift your entire perspective on love, relationships, and yourself. Let's face it, when someone leaves, it feels like your whole world comes crashing down. It hurts. It makes you question everything. Why wasn't I enough? What did I do wrong? You may even find yourself blaming yourself, asking where you went wrong. But the real reason they let you go is something much deeper than what you've been telling yourself. In today's video, we're going to uncover the 7 shocking real reasons they walked away, and I promise you won't see any of this coming. This isn't just another breakup story. It's a revelation that could change the way you view relationships forever. But here's the most important part. Their leaving might just be the blessing you've been waiting for. Yes, you heard that right. It might be the best thing that ever happened to you. Because sometimes the people we love are not meant to stay forever. They're only there to teach us lessons that we need to grow and evolve. Stay with me until the end, because I'll be sharing the deeper truths you need to hear. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, because you don't want to miss out on the real, raw, and empowering content coming your way. Now, let's break down the 7 real reasons they let you go, and trust me, this is going to open your eyes. Number 1. They let you go because you reflected their own insecurities. Sometimes it wasn't your flaws that made them walk away. It was your strength. You didn't hurt them. You triggered something deeper. You became a mirror. And when they looked at you, they didn't just see love. They saw the parts of themselves they were trying to avoid. You see, when you are emotionally intelligent, grounded and calm under pressure, it silently exposes those who are emotionally reactive, insecure, or still battling old traumas. Your peace disturbed their chaos. Your self-assurance highlighted their self-doubt. And your clarity revealed their confusion. That's not something everyone can handle. In the real world, this could look like you responding with kindness when they acted cold, or staying calm during an argument when they expected you to shout. And instead of feeling grateful, they felt judged. Not because you were judging them, but because your maturity made them feel emotionally small, and that's a hard pill to swallow for someone still trying to figure themselves out. This happens more often than we realize. People aren't always afraid of being hurt. They're afraid of being seen. And when you start to reflect their emotional immaturity, lack of growth, or instability just by being authentically you, they don't lean in, they run. And what hurts most? They might even blame you. They'll say things like, "You're too perfect," or "I just can't be myself around you." When the truth is, they've never truly been themselves around anyone. They don't know who that person is yet. And instead of taking the opportunity to grow beside someone secure, they choose to retreat into their comfort zone of dysfunction. They let you go not because you lacked anything, but because your light was too bright for someone who was still hiding in the dark. Your presence made them feel exposed, not embraced. And so they ran not from you, but from the parts of themselves they weren't ready to heal. Here's the truth. You did nothing wrong. You were just whole, and they weren't ready to meet someone who didn't need fixing, saving, or controlling. They weren't ready for a real connection. And realness, my friend, terrifies people who are still wearing masks. So don't beat yourself up wondering what you could have done differently. Sometimes, being too real in a world that rewards fake confidence and shallow affection is the very reason people walk away. They didn't leave because you weren't enough. They left because your wholeness made them realize just how broken they still were. Number 2, they let you go because you didn't fit their fantasy, but you were real. Let's be honest, many people today fall in love with ideas, not individuals. They chase chemistry, butterflies, and fantasy versions of relationships. They want intense highs, dramatic lows, and constant emotional stimulation. But when someone real shows up, someone like you, they're suddenly confused. At first, they admire you, your honesty, your consistency, your ability to show up without playing games. It draws them in. But slowly, their addiction to drama starts whispering, "This is too calm. I'm not feeling the spark," or worse, "Something's missing." But what's really missing isn't passion, it's dysfunction. You weren't giving them the emotional roller coaster they were secretly addicted to. You gave them peace, and that peace felt boring because it didn't match the chaos they were used to. In real life, this might have looked like you texting back quickly, communicating openly, making future plans. But they, on the other hand, kept testing you, pulling back, trying to ignite some chase. And when you didn't bite the bait, they felt disoriented. They expected toxic behaviors, but you gave them stability, and that unfamiliarity made them uncomfortable. They might even have said, "You're too good for me," or "I don't deserve you." That wasn't flattery, it was confession. Deep down, they were telling you, "I can't handle the kind of love you offer because it doesn't match my dysfunctional definition of love." And so, they walk away. Not because you weren't enough, but because you were too real for someone still addicted to illusions. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, that people will leave you not because of who you are, but because they weren't ready for someone who loved without chaos, without games, without masks. So if you've ever been left by someone who said you were too stable, take it as confirmation. You were healthy in a world still healing. Number 3, they let you go because you started seeing through them. At the beginning of every relationship, people show you who they want to be, not who they are. It's like a performance. They're kind, loving, attentive, present. But over time, cracks begin to show. And when you're emotionally aware, you start picking up the subtle red flags others miss. Maybe you notice their passive-aggressive comments. Maybe their compliments started to feel conditional, or their jokes always seem to have a sharp edge. And once you started to see through the facade, that's when everything changed. See, not everyone wants to be truly known. Some people wear masks so long they're afraid of anyone who sees beneath them. And when you began to notice their inconsistencies, they didn't feel safe. They felt exposed. Real-life example. Let's say you noticed how they avoided accountability, or how their apologies were always laced with excuses. Maybe you gently pointed it out not to hurt them, but to understand them better. Instead of leaning into the conversation, they pulled away. Why? because they realized they couldn't control the narrative anymore. You weren't someone they could manipulate or charm blindly. They may have accused you of being too intense or too critical, when in reality you were just observant, and that scared them. You saw past their charm, their surface-level affection, and into the parts of them they've worked hard to keep hidden. They let you go not because you judged them, but because you recognized them, and they weren't ready to face the truth of who they really are. Sometimes love fails, not because there's no connection, but because one person starts growing while the other is still pretending. Number 4. They let you go because you stopped chasing them. In many relationships, especially those that are unbalanced, one person becomes the giver while the other becomes the receiver. You were the giver. You were the one always checking in, always forgiving first, always making plans, adjusting, sacrificing, not because you were weak, but because you loved deeply. You believed in potential, not just patterns. And even when they disappointed you, you stayed hopeful. But over time, that imbalance started draining you. You started to notice how one-sided things had become. You were the emotional glue, the one holding everything together. While they got comfortable, you grew exhausted. You reached a point where you realized that love shouldn't feel like chasing someone who's walking away. And so, one day, quietly, without a dramatic announcement or harsh words, you stopped. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped overthinking every text. Stopped initiating conversations. Stopped stretching your boundaries just to keep the peace. You began to redirect that energy inward, not to punish them, but to finally honor yourself. This shift was powerful, but to them it felt like betrayal. They weren't prepared for the version of you that no longer begged, the version that didn't cry when they left you on red, the version that no longer said, "It's okay," when it clearly wasn't. And that version scared them because suddenly they had no power over you. You see, when people are used to your presence being constant, your silence becomes the loudest alarm. They may accuse you of giving up, of changing, of being cold, but they forget you didn't just give up overnight. You gave chances. You had late-night cries. You talked to friends trying to make sense of it all, and after all of that, you made peace with letting go. In the real world, this might have looked like you no longer replying instantly, cancelling plans that didn't feel reciprocal, or even choosing to block them not out of hate, but out of healing. And ironically, that's often the moment they try to come back. When they feel your absence, when they realize that the person they thought would always be there is now standing in their own power. But it's too late, because the version of you that chased them no longer exists. You've evolved, and once you experience the peace that comes with not begging for love, you never go back. So, if someone left when you stopped chasing, understand this. They weren't in love with you. They were in love with being chased. Number 5. They let you go because you outgrew the version of yourself that needed them. Sometimes we hold on to people not because they're right for us, but because they fit the version of ourselves that we used to be. Back then, you needed validation. You needed love to feel like you mattered. You were still learning your worth, still figuring out your boundaries, still trying to understand who you were outside of someone else's opinion. And they came along at the perfect time. Maybe they made you feel seen, wanted, admired at first. But slowly things shifted. Their love became inconsistent. Their admiration turned into criticism. You began to feel like you had to earn their attention. But you tolerated it, not because you liked it, but because you didn't want to lose them. Then, one day, something changed. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, like a new thought in the back of your mind that said, "I deserve more than this." And that's when the real growth began. You started speaking up, setting boundaries, saying no when you used to say yes, just to keep the peace. And as you started growing, they started pulling back. You see, the version of you they were comfortable with was slowly fading. They liked the you who accepted the bare minimum, the one who didn't question their silence, who forgave too easily, who was always available. But now you were evolving, and that terrified them. They didn't know how to love this new you, not because you changed in a bad way, but because your growth exposed their stagnation. Instead of growing with you, they chose to leave. Not everyone is meant to walk with you through every stage of your life. And as painful as that is, it's freeing too. Because losing someone who only loved a limited version of you is not really a loss, it's an opening. It's the space being cleared for someone who will love the healed, whole, and self-respecting version of you. So yes, they let you go, but only because they couldn't keep up with the person you were becoming. And that's not your burden to carry, it's their lesson to learn. Number 6. They let you go because they thought you'd always be there. One of the most painful truths in relationships is this: people often take for granted what seems permanent. And you, with your constant love, forgiving heart, and unwavering presence, became that permanent to them. You were the one who always showed up, even when they didn't deserve it. You were the one who answered texts even after being ignored, who planned dates even after being cancelled on, who stayed loyal even while being tested. And they believed deep down that no matter how far they pushed, you'd always bounce back. They confused your kindness for weakness. They mistook your patience for naivety. They believed that you would always be the safe space they could return to, no matter how many times they left. But what they didn't know is that even the most compassionate soul has a breaking point, that the strongest hearts are not the ones that never break, but the ones that know when to finally walk away. You didn't leave them because you stopped loving them. You left because you started loving yourself more. You realized that being there for someone who's never truly present for you is the slowest form of heartbreak. You understood that love isn't proven by how much pain you can endure for someone. It's proven by how much you can protect your peace, even if it means letting go of someone you once prayed for. In real life, this shift might have looked like you not texting them back the moment they finally reached out. Or maybe you finally said no to another one of their vague invitations. Or perhaps you quietly deleted their number, not in rage, but in release. And when they noticed the silence, that's when panic crept in. Because people don't panic when you're gone. They panic when they realize you're not coming back. They realize too late that your love was a luxury they treated like a backup plan. But by then, the door wasn't just closed, it was locked. The truth is, they let you go because they believed you would never truly leave. But your absence? That became your loudest answer. And in your silence, they finally heard your worth. Number 7. They let you go because you were meant to learn the lesson, not keep the person. Not every love is meant to last. Some are meant to wake you up. They come into your life during a specific season, often when you're the most open, vulnerable, or searching for something deeper. And while their entrance may feel magical, their exit often feels like heartbreak. But here's the truth. Their role in your life was never to stay. It was to transform you. You didn't meet them by accident. You met them so you could finally confront the parts of yourself you've ignored for too long, the insecurities, the abandonment wounds, the fears, the unhealed scars. Their presence in your life brought all of it to the surface. And while it was painful, it was also necessary. They may have lied. They may have hurt you. They may have ghosted you after making you believe you were the one. And that betrayal, it nearly broke you. But it also taught you the most powerful lesson of all. You don't need someone to complete you. You were always enough. They were just the mirror reflecting what you still needed to heal. In practical terms, they taught you to listen to red flags, not just your heart. They taught you that effort matters more than promises. They taught you that the right person doesn't confuse you, belittle you, or make you question your value. Yes, it hurts to lose someone you thought would be a forever, but some people are just bridges, not destinations. They take you from one version of yourself to another, and once you've crossed over, the bridge must collapse. Not because it was meaningless, but because it already served its purpose. You grew because of them, but now you're growing past them. You've stopped replaying what you could have done differently. You've stopped fantasizing about closure. You now understand that closure isn't something they give you. It's something you create within yourself. So don't mourn their absence as a tragedy. Celebrate it as a release. They let you go because they were never meant to be part of your future. They were just a chapter in your becoming. And the story that comes next? That's the part where you finally choose you. So, there you have it, the 7 real reasons they let you go. It wasn't about your worth, your love, or your effort. It was about timing, growth, and sometimes the things that had to happen for both of you to evolve into who you're meant to be. But here's the most important part. You're not defined by their departure. What matters now is how you rise from this. You've learned lessons that will stay with you forever, lessons of self-love, boundaries, and the understanding that you don't need anyone's validation to be whole. You are more than enough. And if someone can't see that, it's not your loss, it's theirs. You have the power to create the life you want, filled with peace, growth, and genuine connections. And if this video has resonated with you, I want you to remember one thing. The best is yet to come. If you found this video helpful, please drop a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. I've got more powerful content coming your way that's designed to help you heal, grow, and thrive. Stay strong, stay grounded, and keep moving forward. Because remember, letting go might just be the first step toward the life you were always meant to live.